Okay. So last conversation, we talked about my big trip back home where I got reconnected with my biological family in Ghana. So the question now comes the what now? After you get reunited with your family, it's what does our relationship look like? What are the responsibilities that come with it? Once you open that door of reconnecting, well, that comes with its own set of challenges, blessings, and responsibilities. So today I'm going to get into how I navigated that on my end. And I hope that anybody who's going through that or have gone through that, that is helpful. And if you cannot relate to that specifically of reconnecting or reuniting with your biological family, I hope this is helpful to you in your relationship dynamics with your family and friends. So, before we get into it, I got a set of 3 reflection questions for you to think over. I hope that you can apply to your own life and personal situation. So, question number 1. What are ways you try to maintain peace in your family dynamics? All right. Second one. What is your approach to sharing, giving, or loaning money to your family or friends? And question number 3, how do you approach brave conversations with your family? And brave conversations are really what is needed for uncomfortable conversations. Uncomfortable conversations is how you feel about a conversation you're going to have with somebody. And what it requires is bravery or courage to have those uncomfortable conversations. So it goes hand in hand. I just call it a brave conversation. All right? So let's have a brave conversation now. Let's get into it. Every story is important, and every story needs to be heard by someone, whether an audience of 1 or 1 million. Our stories are valuable because we have no idea the ripple effects it can have on generations to come. So join me in listening to stories of how unlikely people became unexpectedly connected. Their stories reveal that we were never meant to face life alone. And in helping one another, we end up finding ourselves and our purpose. Welcome to Letters from the Chosen. So, reuniting with your biological family can have its pros and cons. The big thing is, after you reunited, you want ask yourself, or at least I ask myself, what now? What do I do now? What does our relationship look like? How do I communicate with my family internationally? How do I help them? How do I navigate feelings of neglect, others not feeling they're not getting certain help, conflict, all that stuff, time differences, cultural differences, so many things that come once you open the door. Everything has its pros and cons and its challenges, regardless of which end of the spectrum you're on. So that's a life lesson that I'm learning. So the big challenge that came when I connected with my family was helping them financially. And so my family used to farm and then they had stopped farming years ago. My uncles ran a farm and my cousin was telling me that it was too much and maybe it wasn't worth it financially, so they had stopped. They had taken little small work doing other stuff. My cousin Anthony, he's like my twin. My cousin Anthony was telling me that he himself just takes odd jobs. Whatever jobs comes up, they're looking for somebody to help with the construction, to, carry bricks or whatever, maybe not bricks, but carry building materials. He does that. And otherwise, he doesn't work. My sister does trade. She's a trader, and that's like TRADER with goods, like with fruits and vegetables and things like that. And so making small money, not really anything substantial, and not things that are always consistent. And so money can be a challenge for my family. So when we came back home, that was like the big thing of helping my family. My mom right away felt I would say pressing, and we just believed that was God, that my sister needed help from us. He called my sister, and we started trying to work out the whole Western Union uh, dynamic of being able to send money. And when I spoke to my sister, she was in tears and needed help. Her husband hadn't been working. So it was an answer to prayer. So that kind of started where we first started going. And my parents assisted my sister in the beginning with her and her husband. So then the pressure came of how do I help my family? What do I do? Everybody could use help. And so my mom kind of shut that down very quickly and in a good way. She told me that my family has lived all these years without me. So to not feel the pressure to give into any demand that my family was putting on me, or even the pressure that I was putting on myself to be able to just do this and do that. Because as time went, some demands came, and some of my family was not happy with how I was approaching my role in the family and in helping out. And my mom was just like quick to kind of lift that off of me, that my family has lived all these years and been sustained without me. So to not feel like I have to now fix everything and I have to take care of everyone and be so overwhelmed. Oh, God took that advice that my mom gave me and just like has applied it to so many areas of my life years later and even into my marriage. And God was teaching me, well, it's no different from anyone else or any other situation. And even in the space that I'm in now, God has taught me that He's already known it all along. He's already known about the challenge, about the issue, and He's in that process. My job is to pray about the things I see, to intercede, and then to submit it to God. And if God needs me to do anything more, He'll tap on me and he'll use me and I can go to him, "Hey God, I want to do this." And get his permission, but he does not need me. And that's something that I have learned that has allowed me to do an act of kindness that I feel led to do and to release it and keep going. For everyone, when you encounter or you're exposed to the challenges in people's lives that they're facing, that it's not up to you to save them from it. It's up to you to start praying and then to seek God for the ways that you can help. Let's figure out a way that we can do this in a way that's healthy, that's going to build them up, and a way that is empowering. Okay. So that was a little sidebar, but that whole mentality and understanding helps me in approaching my family and the challenges that they face. It keeps me from being overwhelmed and feeling like I have to carry my entire family when I'm not able to do so. And it also helps me to not feel like I've got to fix things. And I pray that that is helpful to others, again, in a similar situation or just in their family and friends dynamic. My uncle spoke to me, and this was actually following another trip that I went. He told me to start with just one, and I told him the one I'm going to help is my sister. Because he explained, well, you're one person, you can't help all of us, but have one person that you're going to help and you're going to bring up. And I said, well, it has to be my sister. Even there was a way I wanted to bless somebody, and my sister was like, uh-uh. Like, it's gonna be me first. And so that's where it began helping my sister. And that was the beginning of the journey. Some challenges came with that. The first one was my sister was asking for money for certain things. And actually, I think this was a second, but I'll start there. My sister was asking money for certain things, and I was trying to get her to put money towards like a career. And so she was talking about one time doing hair or sewing. And so she said she had to pay for a teacher to teach her. And so I sent money for it. And so I said, okay, what happened with that? And I never got the story on what happened, but it never came to fruition. Whether it was the hair braiding or the sewing or, that I sent money for. And so that was one of the challenges, the money not going where it needed to go and it being spent. So it was a constant, we're out of money, we need money. I went for uh like a history day judging thing on campus, something like that. And I think my friends came and I ended up meeting with my one professor. I told him a little bit about being reconnected with my family and the dynamics with my sister. He right away was like, stop sending money. Like, tell your parents to stop just sending her money all the time. And he told me, when you send money, it has to be for a purpose. I'm sending money for school. I'm sending money for this medical bill. It's not just every month or once a week or whatever. I just am sending this and they're just going and getting this money. So he said, whenever you send money back home, you have to send it for a purpose. I later went and had the conversation with my parents, and I said, that's what we're going to do. One, I wanted to make sure that I sent money to my family for like holidays. So it's like, when do we want to do kind of bless my family? And then I ended up speaking with my sister, what do you need help with? And she ended up telling me that she needed help with the tuition for her children to go to school. And so that gave a concrete place for me to start helping. And so I started to send money for school, and my parents also assisted me in that. And then I ended up taking it over a few years later. After, I got more established and things like that, I ended up taking it over and paying for my nephews for their schooling. And that kind of became the starting point of, now there's a definite plan of, this is who I'm going to help and how I'm going to help, and not just randomly. And then when there's an emergency, my sister calling or a family member calling, got this medical bill, this happened, that happened, or I'm at the hospital, can't pay this, then could help. The great thing about that, my family calls, it's 4 in the morning, it's 5 in the morning, can't do this. We need this for that, or things that come up throughout the year, you're able to help because you're not constantly just throwing money. And so for anybody in that dynamic, it can feel harsh to do, but you really have to do things with a purpose. So don't just throw money to just throw money, or to send and build a habit, or to create a dependency that shouldn't be there, but to send with purpose. And it was also really hard, uh, like my family having to go to Western Union, especially my family, like my cousin in more rural parts, they got to travel and find a Western Union, and they would have challenges with it because of my last name. They would have issues when they went. They wouldn't believe that I was their family member because I had my family's last name. It wasn't an Ashanti last name, and they could tell, and this is Italian. How do you have, you say your sisters, they'll have all these issues. So to cut it down for everybody, and for their travel to go, it's easy for my sister because she's right in the city, but to cut it down, I would not do it as often and maybe double up a month. And so now I found another, a much better app that is awesome, and I can send directly to their phones. And so I started doing that. Something I also learned is to give in secret. So um when I went back again, there was whole thing, two family members being upset that I had given money to one of our family members, and they were feeling some kind of way. And so I learned from that that my giving had to be done in secret. I mean, they took it to heart. And so anytime I'm going to bless her, you do one on one, and except in certain dynamics. Like there's older people that I bless, and I have another family member help with that, because with the language barrier or with the travel for them to go get it. There's also been other reasons, them feeling slighted in some way that they won't receive from me. So I give to someone else to give to them. So I've had to do some of that too. I do in secret, and I don't say I'm sending this to so so. Not that I ever said it, but I make sure it's not seen. And when I was there, and if I someone needed something, or even them seeing me blessing my family before I leave, that was a whole fiasco. And so it's like, okay, let me not do that, right? Don't let your right hand know what your left hand's doing. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. You just keep it on the DL. It even got to the point that there's friends of mine that I actually wanted to bless, and my family had a really hard time with that. And I hadn't even done anything, but this friend reached out to me. They actually told me they were being accused of taking money from me, that I was giving them money and helping them instead of helping my family. And so it created a conflict between my friends and my family, because my family thought I was aiding and helping them. And it was like, actually, when all that came, it's like, I have not at all. I have not at all. I'd love to, but I'm not in a place to do that at all. If it's, I have to figure out how I'm doing this. I'm not doing that at that season. And so I definitely learned, even out of that conflict that came, to keep things private and one on one. Another challenge that came with it, and I mentioned it before, was the money not going where it was said it was going to go. A lot of it was, and I don't even want to say irresponsible, a lot of it's just spent on this and that and food and taking care of all the things that people need. But when I'm sending for this specific, for these lessons or this or that, and it doesn't go, well, the problem still exists, right? Like the trader's skill is still not acquired, and then it's still living, you know, paycheck to paycheck, or the situation doesn't change. This is where my mom comes in again. And so what I would tell my sister is like, okay, I sent you this amount for this, so save some of it. And I was like, I don't think any of that's happening. And these things, I'm not hearing anything come of it. And when I ask, it's like, no. So my mom said, well, save for your family. And I'm like, huh? She said, you save for your family. You've been telling them to save, and you're trying to tell your sister, to save, but why don't you save for her? And that's when I realized that even that mentality of saving is something learned. You have to be taught to save and how to save. But when you're feeling stretched, or, when you're in survival mode, it's hard to save, or if you haven't ever saved before. So I was trying to help my sister open up a bank account, go here. This is what you need. Here's a little money to open, and talk to so and so. I've got a cousin who could assist, and with opening up a bank account. And I was, trying to do a similar thing with my one cousin. And they did get an account opened. And I was like, gotta get money in there and do this and do that. And so my mom gave me the wise advice of all this is a whole lot of back and forth that's going nowhere. So you save. So I didn't have too much to save because I also then like did a shift in my career, in my work. But I would try to save a little money in my savings. I don't know if it was right away, but later my mom started like a family savings account and she would just put a little money aside. So I had in my mind, right now, my focus is working on my loans and certain things like that. But I'll try to save a little bit. And then when I get to that place where I can, I'll save more. I've now gotten to a place of, okay, let me start saving more. So I was saving a little bit in my regular savings account, but now I've shifted. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Anthony O'Neill was talking about high yield savings account, and I've now tried to move towards that and to put money there. But that idea of saving for my family came from my mom, and I remember when I was saving for my first apartment, my mom told me, "You're not going anywhere till you have saved up money." And I saved, they had relocated, and I was like, I need to get a place of my own. And so I learned that right away, but it was something practiced and something I was held to. And so do that for your family. And that's been a real game changer. And so for anyone in whatever your situation may be, it may be different than with me with an international adoption. But if you see an area where someone may not have had been taught it or had the practice, and so they just don't have that habit, or they may not see the value, or they're overwhelmed by it, or they just can't see it because all they're able to see is the problem in front of them, the mountain, then you can step in and do it for them. That on those financial emergencies that come up, you're able to help out. The other thing that came with financial issues is accepting the decisions of my family. My uncles, there was whole thing with our farm. And when I heard about the farm, I'm like, start up this farm. Let's go. If you have the farm, you can spend less on food. So I'm like, what you want to grow? I had worked on a farm when I was little. And actually, my entire family here, minus my dad, we have worked on the farm. When I heard the farm, I got really excited because I have seen a family farm just bring about generational blessings and fulfillments of promise. It just opens another door for you. And my family ended up saying no to it, and last I heard, they sold the farm to someone else. As I was really disappointed, but I'm like, okay, that's all right. And I think at the end of it, we have to realize that we don't control anyone and that people are their own and they belong to God. And same as that we have the right to make our own decisions about our life and how we live and how we're going to make our money and what we're going to invest into. At the end of it, my family felt like this is going to be too much and this isn't the way. That now we got to find a different way. So even just allowing my family to make their own decisions, the rest of it, you have a relationship with them just like anyone else. And for me, that looks like a call, checking in. I probably check in and call the most with my sister. WhatsApp has really helped, sending a text here and there to check in to see what's going on, giving a phone call, holidays. That's what's been happening since. Really just learning how to navigate a healthy relationship to maintain peace and to be able to help. And for me, next, my prayer, my hope is that I'm able to do more. And sometimes you kind of forget about it and you get about living life and going through life because as all that's going on, you have challenges in your personal life, right? You have challenges, there's always challenges to overcome everywhere, but always keeping that in the forefront. For me, I'm always like, what's the more that I can do? And that's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I'm hoping for, is to be able to do more than the little here and there that I've done. And even thanks so much to my parents blessing my family when I couldn't. And even now, still now, I'm like, I'm sending, money for this. And my parents are like, we want to send a little money for your sister towards her baby shower and just little things like that. They still bless my family, but I want to be able to do more. I'm actually going to use Magic Johnson's movie theater as an example. My husband and I went to Harlem. We love Harlem. We love Harlem so much, and the culture and just how God is just building up that area. It's amazing. The culture, and you can just see a value that the people are putting on each other and what they produce, and it is amazing. I mean, there's always something going. You go down the street, and high school band is out there, beautiful museums popping up, restaurants, an African community representing our favorite African cafes out there. We there a lot. Love to eat there. But I had never been to the Magic Johnson movie theater. I'd seen it, but I'd never gone in and seen a movie. And so my husband took me to go see a film. And so when we went in, I'm looking at the mural and oh my gosh, I thought it was so amazing. It was revelation for me, like this is what it's about. If you can do just one thing for your community and the door that it opens, it seems so simple, like opening up a movie theater. But opening up that movie theater is beautiful. And the bathroom is probably the nicest movie theater bathroom I've ever been in. It looks so nice. I said, okay, but the jobs that it opens up for people at the concessions, at the door, people doing security, running the movies, the cleaning crew, but it also gives a place for the people to come to. And we're out in the Bronx, and where we are, like, we don't have a movie theater. My husband said there used to be one, but there isn't really a lot of places to go recreationally. We got like shops, grocery stores, and we have a little park, and there's a basketball court, but there isn't like anything else really for entertainment. We have to go outside of the area, outside of our neighborhood to go do things. And so what I noticed when we were in Harlem is like even that theater just opens up jobs for so many people. And I was like, what a powerful legacy that you put something there that lasts beyond you, that is a blessing to your community, a fun place they can go and watch movies, but it also opens up and gives jobs and opportunities for people. If we all can do that, establish one thing or give in one area to where we have come from, if everyone does that, we just can build up our communities. And whew, it really stuck with me. And it just gave me a why for the desire in my heart when we were in that theater. And so my prayer is for an answer and a solution to that desire in my heart of what I can leave behind that will be a blessing to my family and will open up doors and opportunities of jobs and work for them because I'm blessed to be a blessing. God raises you up so that you can give to others, so He can pour out to others all that He has poured on you. The blessing isn't for me to just level up. No, I'm building you up so that you can help to build others up with you. And ultimately, the building up is not just let me be on a platform, it's so that we can point people up to God because He is the reason that we do all this. And I just need the Holy Spirit to help me to do it and to do it His way. So I just pray that this was a blessing to you as you think about your relationships and your dynamics with your family and those that you've reconnected with or been reunited with, and just how you can Be a help and a service to them with whatever you have in your hand. Remember that God loves you and He has chosen you for His purpose. We are a chosen people. Until next time, be blessed.